Today we have, I think I'm super excited because I waited a very long time for this. And we've been talking about having this guest here for years now. We're like, oh, we have to do a podcast together. We have to do a podcast together. And I, you probably don't know who this person is, but like this is family to me. And this is somebody that's running for office down in Maryland. And she's here today. We've been tight for years now. Like we served together in the military. She's extremely smart, a democratic socialist, and also I've learned about and so much about politics when it came to this person. But today I'm gonna present to you my sister right here, Josie Caballero.
Ah, yes. Awesome. That was probably one of the best introductions that I probably have ever received. Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy that we've been talking about this for so many years. Let's do a podcast episode.
Yeah.
You need to come through. I think I needed to move to New York.
I guess so. I guess that's what had to happen.
And you came all the way from Maryland to have this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have anything before this.
Did you have a gala yesterday?
I did have a gala yesterday.
What was this gala?
So this was the LGBTQ DNC gala that happens every year. It's a big fundraiser. So there were 3 governors there yesterday.
No way.
Yeah. So New York, Massachusetts, as well as Michigan. Governors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So right now, what is it that you're running for when it comes to Maryland? You're running for county, city,
county council. So
county, what is that?
Yeah, so Montgomery County Council At-Large. That means it's the whole county of Montgomery County in Maryland. It's right outside of D.C. So those are the towns like Rockville, Silver Spring, Bethesda, and it's one of the most diverse districts in the entire country. It's over 150 languages are spoke there.
Okay.
It's a huge diverse population, a lot of immigrants, and it's time to make history.
Nice.
And Montgomery County is really where the local is national because we're so close to DC. But yeah, so running to represent 1.1 million people.
Ooh, how do you feel right now? Because damn, my bad, y'all, the listeners. How do you feel right now? I just feel like we are in weird times, right? And you're running for office, as a trans woman. Do you feel that there is like a target in your back in some sort, right? Like right now, right now, like things are very extremely divisive.
Mm-hmm.
It's like like black women, they're accusing black women of taking advantage of food stamps. They're calling Latinos criminals. Islamophobia, now we see it with Mandani, that he's gonna supposedly bring Sharia law against Jews. It's just like everywhere, especially trans women and trans people in general have been a target, and they're calling the trans community pedophiles. Mm-hmm. So this is all
terrorist, or a danger to your kids, groomers, you name it. They've said it.
Even when the whole Charlie Kirk situation happened, the first thing before we even knew who the shooter was,
that's right,
they were saying it was a trans Mexican.
It wasn't me.
It was you. They thought it was you. As you guys know, Josie is half Mexican and also a half Puerto Rican.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So how do you feel about this, especially with everything that's going on right
absolutely. I was talking to somebody, my neighbor. She was CDC worker, dual degreed scientist working for the CDC in conjunction with the FDA. She's an Indian immigrant, incredibly intelligent. But she asked me the question very simply. It was the day of the Charlie Kirk shooting that night. I had a conversation with her, and she was like, "How does it feel to be a target?" Just like that, just how you said earlier. And I think about the times we were in the Navy. I think about when we were on the USS Ronald Reagan, America's flagship. We served, worked, and slept on the biggest high-value target that the military has floating on the ocean for America. And as much as we like to believe that the Reagan's safe at all times, supersonic missile, shoot up a couple of them at it, and it's incinerated, it's gone. And
It's true.
and so you have to think about that when you're young,
Hmm.
right? We were kids when we
Yeah.
were there, and but we still did our job,
Hmm.
even though the worst could happen. We could be
Hmm.
attacked, and I think about that when I'm running for office right now.
Hmm.
Is the fact that I and yourself were already targets.
Yeah.
So, although I know there's a risk when I go and do a public speaking event or when I have an event, pretty easy to be able to be like, okay, where's she going to be?
Hmm.
It's I'm running for public office. I'm supposed to be accessible to the public.
Gotcha.
But the mental hardness that the military brought me of understanding what it's like to live day in and day out on a target
Yeah.
has allowed me to say, I'm just going to keep moving forward. And is it easy? No. Do I
Hmm.
think about it? Sometimes.
Hmm.
But I just do it because it's my duty.
And then I know that there's a lot. Right now, I think people are trying to figure out, like, because there's a lot of democratic socialism. There's not a lot of democrat, but it's become like something. People are talking about socialism a little bit more.
Sure.
And I know that there's a resistance to, especially us being Latinx, like, especially if you see what happened with Cuba, is always used as an example, in Venezuela. What is socialism?
Yeah.
How can you explain that?
Yeah. And I appreciate the question because essentially people have used academic terms like socialism, communism, capitalism, all in a buzzword type of way.
Yes.
There's entire libraries full of socialist theory, capitalist theory, communist
Hmm.
theory, and it's really just a means of how we produce and how the economics work.
Yeah.
So when I hear what is socialism, I think about American socialism.
Hmm.
And people will be like, "What's American socialism?" That's Medicare.
Hmm.
That's VA benefits. That's our military. That's our firefighters. That's our police. That's our streets and roads that are publicly funded. We have American socialism, food
So we have
programs.
like certain level of socialism,
Yes,
but
absolutely.
so you're saying it's like we don't need one or the other.
Right. We have it in a way that is special to America. When
Hmm.
we were in the Great Depression, it was socialist ideas that brought us out of it. It
Hmm.
was public work programs that built the Hoover Dam and the Golden Gate
Yeah.
Bridge and many infrastructures across the United States. It was buying people, the government bought people's mortgages so their interest rates were locked in and then they
For
paid
real?
back those mortgages. Yeah, absolutely. So when the mortgage crisis happened during the Great Depression, the government didn't want everybody to lose their homes, so they bought everybody's mortgages away from the banks and locked them in. Guess what? 30 years later, the government made money
No way.
because of the fact that people were so grateful
Who
to
was
have a mortgage.
who was the president at
That
that time?
was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR.
And
Yeah.
that, yeah,
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 and his policies were so popular that he served 4 terms and died in office.
died in office.
That they literally amended the Constitution just to make sure that that would never happen again.
Oh wow.
So because they were just like he had a complete dominance over the hearts and minds of the people because not only did he get us out of the Great Depression, he got us through the war.
Yeah.
And
And he also like Social Security.
Social Security. Like we have programs that we love and hold dear to this day that we just think of American, like Social Security or Medicare. It was all under that program. So
Mm,
when I think of socialism, I think about that type of stuff.
mm.
All it is how a means of how we communicate, or how we give money to the people that are most in need, and also protect us. For most importantly, like we should not have profit measures inside
Mhm.
of healthcare. Look what's happening right now. We need to make sure we have universal healthcare that allows people to have a, a- not be able to pay a private industry that
Mhm.
does nothing but create red tape and stop people from getting healthcare and stop doctors from providing that life-saving healthcare.
Mhm.
We need to get rid of the middleman.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, that's what I think about when I think of socialism. People try to make it a dirty word, but honestly, it should be the start of a conversation and not the end of one.
I think also a lot of people are afraid because we see like because there also could be a thin line between social. You can correct me if I'm wrong at any time.
Sure.
There's a thin line between socialism and communism. Do you
Well,
think so?
I do
Or
not think so. Because communism is a very specific thing. It's when the workers own all the means of production. The government just in a communist state only allows that to exist. That's essentially what it is. So the way, people throw around Marxism and
Yeah.
things like that. Well, Marx was just a philosopher. He wasn't somebody that was a governor. He never governed anything.
Yeah.
And his work has been used in awful ways with Leninism and things like that. However, all Marx was saying is that if an owner of a factory owns all the means of production, while the person who makes the item has zero say of how much they sell that product, how much the labor, how much it costs, it's all based on the owner. That is a capitalist system.
Yeah.
All Marx was saying is that is unsustainable. And that the workers should have a bigger say in how much those products sell for, how much so that's the whole idea of collective bargaining and the idea that all workers come together and say, yeah, you may have started this factory, but you sit in an office while I'm doing the hard work.
Yeah.
And that hard labor they should get a profit. They should get a profit share.
So basically, like anybody that's part of the company is able to have a say or have some type of power,
Absolutely.
especially if you're involved, which makes sense at the same time.
Absolutely. It's just how the economy is structured. And communist structures essentially let the workers have the say in a lot of ways on the products that they create.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think where I'm hurt, I'm also in between, right?
Yeah.
And you and I both know we have history,
Yeah.
right? And you and I, we started a couple of businesses together. Like we know each other since we were like early 20s.
Yeah,
early 20s.
we were kids.
We were babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the USS Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
And at that time, we were entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's right.
Very, very entrepreneurial. And you and I both know that we very capitalist at heart, right? And I think we have hit the more of a conversation of socialism, stuff like that, I think it's hard for me because I'm also very entrepreneurial.
Sure.
Right?
And so am I.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, right? When we were coming up with ideas for our businesses, my gosh, it's so embarrassing. But we were coming up with things like a maid service, right? Like creating services for people to clean their houses, to help them out because everybody's working so much. We weren't saying, let's create a medical insurance agency and screw over sick people. There's a difference, right? A person who's making a computer chip is just innovating technology. That, in my opinion, let the free market reign on that type of stuff. But when we're talking about healthcare, or we're talking about housing, or we're talking about even food production in a lot of ways, how all the farms are being bought up by only a few industries. We need control and regulation, and that is that food is a human right, water is a human right, housing is a human right, medical care is a human right.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be profit incentive in that because that basically, exactly like private prisons, those shouldn't exist. People who profit from other people's pain should not
be a thing.
A thing. And that to me is where capitalism goes too far. But when you're wanting to make the best donut shop, right? And everybody's competing to make the best donuts, like, I don't care. The government shouldn't step in there, right? But the government should make sure that their storefronts are affordable.
Yes.
Right? So when we're talking about how the mix of government and capitalism is the secret sauce. And I'll say this, right? Marx was wrong, right? He said that capitalism would always collapse under its own weight, no matter what. But he died before America was where it is today with antitrust laws. He didn't think of a government that regulates private industry to tamp down the ability for it to rob people. Now, we can also say, well, Marx was actually right. It's just that these regulations just made it happen slower. But I would argue that we are not even in a capitalist system in America. We're under a corporatist system where corporations control everything.
Everything.
Because how are you going to compete against Amazon? Let's say you want to create a logistics company.
At all.
You're not going to do it.
Nah.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Right? And so for me, it's antithetical to what capitalism actually is. I don't believe we have a capitalist system here in America. We just don't. It's a corporatist system with very few people who control and run everything.
Yeah, because Amazon have to be honest, and I order Amazon.
For sure.
It's so convenient.
You have no choice.
I have no choice.
And that's what monopolies are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that is something Marx warned us about, right? Which is essentially we should not let corporations own all of the means. So that's from the product creation to the delivery system to the end user, like all of that type of stuff shouldn't be controlled by one person, right? Or one company. Or
that's why it comes in and try to destroy the monopoly.
Exactly. You gotta break it up.
You have to break it up. And I feel like we went through this before.
Yeah.
I think before, frankly, the Roosevelt, we had the most powerful men in the world. They're close to the billionaires of today. And it was like Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller. And at that time, they owned everything, and they didn't pay their laborers and their workers nothing.
They didn't.
They protested. I think people forgot this about history. Remember the workers protested.
Yeah.
And Andrew Carnegie rounded up some guys and shot his employees.
Yeah.
Shot his employees, and people living in misery. Also Henry Ford was there.
Henry Ford had a great idea of I should make sure my workers can afford the cars that they make. And because it makes him more money when they can buy the products. But we don't have a system anymore. That's why
we have the weekends today.
Well, no, labor unions have the weekends today. That's what it is. Labor fought for that, right? They fought for the 5-day work week. They fought for the 40-hour work week. That's actually thank your union, right? Union workers made that real. They also helped in child labor laws and all of that. Because when you're talking about corporate robber barons, right? Like the Carnegies of the world, the Elon Musk of the world, right? Like let's be honest. This isn't a trickle down economy. This is a vacuum up economy where they have the vacuum cleaners and they're just taking all of our pennies. And what the problem is, and people don't know this. Top earners in the United States before Ronald Reagan were taxed at over 90%. Over 90%. Whatever their wealth was, 90% of it went right to the government in taxes.
Wow.
And it was, and to me, it's like, congratulations, you won capitalism, but we got to now take this money back. And people don't understand why.
Why?
Because if we have to take that money off the table, because if you don't, you have people that have too much power that ultimately controls how things go. We see it with our government now. Once we were allowing massive wealth inequalities with more billionaires, we're about to have the first trillionaire, right?
The first trillionaire.
Which is horrifying.
Yes.
They have as much power as nations. And so if we allowed them to accumulate all that wealth, they can just move through the world and move our economic system under their whims instead of what's good for the people. So that creates a flow in and out of money. But now what's happening is as all the wealth goes up, it stagnates. People can't afford their rent.
That's true. Groceries are super expensive.
Groceries. People are dying rather than going to get health care.
It's true.
And what does that do? Well, what that does, it affects the small businesses first.
Yeah.
People can't go to the restaurants. People can't go and get basic necessities, right? People are choosing between toilet paper and food right now.
Yeah.
What about the toilet paper company?
Yeah.
Right? Are they making money if people are making that decision? Right? Or what about the small restaurants, the bars, the places that we love? More long-standing companies are shutting down because of the fact that things are just too expensive and people just can't afford to go to their favorite restaurants anymore.
That's very true.
So what's the end game? Why have all the wealth if the money isn't transaction? Because in a capitalist system, we're supposed to have a flow of commerce.
Yeah. Especially everything circulating.
Yes, exactly. So right now we are seeing what happens when money doesn't circulate. And when money doesn't circulate, we all suffer.
How come, like, what can we do and how can we help? Because I also, I have different conversations with different people, right? And I don't see myself one or the other. Because I think also, say when somebody goes like, oh, I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican, I think we identify with something. I feel like you are taking up a tribe, and I think that's how people get separated.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why I don't like to. I say I'm an independent. I'm not neither, because if somebody's gonna vote, and if somebody's gonna go and fight for me, whether they're Republican or Democrat, I'm gonna vote for the person that's gonna better benefit me.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
What can we do? So the majority of the people is either there's no middle class.
Right. No, there's none.
There's none right
It's
now.
just the rich and the poor.
The rich and the poor. And I even saw a study that said, like, if you make over 100,000, you're poor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially here in New York City.
Yeah,
Like,
especially. Yeah. Even where I live right now. Like, it's still tough. It's so hard right now.
what do you think is a solution to help these people that need this help? Because that's all I feel bad for, like, people that have families.
Yeah.
Right. They have 3 kids. I don't know how they're getting by.
Yeah.
Because even for me, I spent at least $1,000 a month just on food.
Yep, exactly. It's disgusting, right? So you had 2 questions there. The first one was about the political divide between Democrats and Republicans. I hate it just as much as you do.
Yeah.
I do not believe we both served in the military.
Yeah.
I served with Republicans, I served with Democrats, I served with Green Party, I served with everybody. Independents, it didn't matter, but we didn't really talk a lot about that because we had to get the job done.
Yeah.
Right? America used to be that way.
Yeah.
America used to be like, all right, go to the polls, we vote, that's how it goes, and we all work together to make society better. But we've become so polarized where you have to choose one or the other.
Yeah.
Where when Texas says we're going to gerrymander in the middle of a year between the census, middle of a decade for the censuses, California has to do it. Then you have other states having to do it. And it becomes an arms race, right? And it just turns off more and more voters, right?
Yeah.
Because then it's like, well, I only have these 2 choices, which unfortunately is true in American society. But we have forgotten how to talk to each other.
Yeah.
We just don't know how to do it.
Yeah, like everybody's in their own little echo chamber.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
social media. Like, social media were like, and we also have a friend that was like, there's no,
Yeah.
they don't care about data.
No.
And then the more that you can show them proof, the more they're like.
Yeah.
So I think that's a come out. I try not to subscribe to any political party because I don't want to fall into that.
Yeah.
Right? If somebody, I want the truth no matter what.
Absolutely. And I think people like yourself are doing it away because you have been on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of people who are born and raised Democrats and stay Democrats, and there are people who were born and raised Republicans and stay Republicans or MAGA, right? And at that point, it's like religion, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a Christian, that's who I am.
That's it.
That's all I'm gonna think. I'm not even gonna think the other side is even right?
Yeah.
And even regardless of the evidence and proof or whatever it is, this is who I am. And I saw a really interesting meme that was really, really great, because when I was raised in Texas, it was always, you don't talk religion or politics at the dinner table.
Yeah.
But what happened is we stopped learning about it, right? When we don't have conversation, when we don't talk religion or politics with our families when we're young or with our friends and family, we forget how to do it. We don't understand it. So then rather than saying, we could talk religion and politics and teach people how to have tough conversations, we avoided them altogether. So we have a very childlike mentality when we think of Republican and Democrat, because we stopped talking about it for decades.
Do you think that we talk? Because I feel like it's more in your face now.
Yeah.
Back then, people didn't talk about it. Yes, I didn't understand, especially when we were like in the military. Like people were like, why people avoid it? Like, and then social media came around, and it was just free game. Politics is in your face, right? Don't you? so there's a part of me that feels like talking about it a lot has been a little bit more destructive than beneficial.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, think about it this way. And I I'm very proud of my education. I studied political science and philosophy and American politics. That's kind of that was my jam. That's what I learned. It took me a long time to read those books and read those philosophers and understand what our founding fathers, like, not only did I read the Constitution, I read their notebooks, right? And read the philosophers that they studied.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So for me, when I think of the founding of our country, I think about all of that background, right? From John Stuart Mill and Jeremy Bentham and, all of these philosophers, even Hegel, and like all of, Kantian theory, right? Like, all of those things I think about a lot when I move into this space. But one thing I understand is I still have a lot more to learn.
Yeah.
And we are stuck in a world of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Are you familiar with Dunning-Kruger?
No, what is Dunning-Kruger?
So Dunning-Kruger is a study that was done about the fact that when somebody knows something about something, they're very confident.
Yeah.
They're very confident. And they're able to match the confidence of somebody who's been studying something for 25 years.
Okay.
But the more you study something, the more you don't know. So you don't become as confident anymore, right? So it's like, oh, I know, how physics works. And you're like, oh, yeah, speed of light, all that type of stuff. And this is how it goes. This is the rules of physics. And then all of a sudden you take the next class.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
shit.
No, I don't know anything about this.
What is quantum mechanics?
Yeah. And now it's like, oh, no, I don't know what quantum mechanics are.
Yeah.
I don't know how aerospace engineering works. And now all of a sudden, all the things that you don't know become clear. And now you're like, I don't know if I can talk about this.
That's exactly what happened with Einstein. Einstein was like the smartest man in the world. Physics and everything, calculus, he was a master.
Yeah.
But the moment that he discovered quantum mechanics as trying to like talk to him about quantum mechanics, he was like, what the fuck is this?
Or the theory of relativity. After he came up with all that, he spent his last days of his life trying to come up with the equation for everything. He wanted this. He never solved it.
No.
Right? And he knew he wasn't going to be able to solve it, but he still tried.
He hated it.
And that to me is the beauty of wanting to know. That's knowledge. But we live in a society now that it's like, oh, I heard this political thing, and now I'm going to talk about it like I know something. And it's because politics is what's popular. It's what's in. So people start talking about things they don't understand or know about.
Yes.
And it's really frustrating because, like, for example, people will be like, well, Lincoln was a Republican. I'm like, okay, but what was the Republican platform back then? Right? And it's like, oh, it's about
freeing the slaves.
Yeah, exactly. Like equality. And
it was a progressive.
It was incredibly progressive, right?
Yeah.
When you read the platform.
For those times.
And people are like, oh, but he was a Republican. The Democrats are the ones. And I was like, okay, if you ask a modern day KKK member what party they're going to vote for, which party they're going to vote for.
They're going to,
Yeah, it's not going to be the Democrats because Lincoln, because like, it's really, because back then, the Democrats were where the Republicans sit. They're not Democrats, right? They're not. They're Republicans because we had an ideological shift. But the thing is, you have to study that. You have to know that.
When did the shift happen? Because I hear a lot of things that there's shift and some people
It was in the 90s.
It was in the 90s?
It was in the early 90s is when things shifted over. I'm sure you may have heard of something called the Southern Strategy, where they were particularly going after racist folks in America to try to gin up the base of getting more people into the Republican Party. And essentially that created a fervor of the ideological shift that ended up changing everything. And then so that is essentially how the shift started to happen. And now that's why we have the modern day Republican Party that it is right now, which is very anti-person. And so it is something that did happen, but a lot of like people, for example, I hear all the time, it's like, we're not a democracy, we're a republic. It's like, we're a democratic republic. It's a type of democracy.
Yes.
But people are like, I heard the word republic. So we're it's like Republican. That's what we are. It's
there's two things that do not. Two completely different.
completely different topics, but
Yes.
you hear it all the time, right? Or people will be
Wow.
like, oh, well, all people are corrupt, all presidents are corrupt. It's like, yes, but you have to know degree of magnitude,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Because if you say everybody is kind of living in being a cynic, and I
Yeah.
heard there's a quote that I heard like a cynic is corrosive to human to the human kind.
Yeah.
Right. Because a cynic doesn't believe anyone. Everyone is like this, and it's very destructive and corrosive to human beings and anything.
Yeah, and
Right.
and it's healthy to have and like I'm a skeptic, right?
Yeah.
I'm a person that has to kind of study things a little bit before I
Uh-huh.
just automatically believe them. And it's because I've been led astray so many times by when I was raised, right? Like I thought that the best things were the best strategies was to make sure that poor people didn't get welfare. I'm like, wait, why did I believe that? I don't know, because everybody told me it was that way.
Yeah, because I remember you were super Republican.
Yeah, I was.
You were so Republican
I was.
that when you left the military, you did not want to take unemployment.
That's
Remember
right.
that?
That's right. That's right.
You're like, I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the switch for you?
The switch, oh my goodness. It was in college.
Yeah.
So if you can recall, I went to college to get my business degree.
Yeah.
And so I started off as a business major, like every good Republican should, right? In my mind, right? And so I went in, and then I started learning economics and all that type of stuff. And it was a Logic 100 class, which is like philosophy 100, not even 101.
Okay.
We're talking about
The beginning.
remedial philosophy,
Yeah.
right? This is like A plus B equals C type argumentation, right? Like it's like I was learning what a fallacy was, right? A fallacy being like, for example, a part of a whole fallacy, which is like if you have a Skittle that is poisonous in a bowl of Skittles, does that mean every Skittle is poisonous? No, it's not.
Yeah.
But people will assume every Skittle's
poisonous. It's true.
Right.
And that's how we live.
That's how we live. Or, it's like, it's one of those situations where people will do the part of the whole fallacy, which is like, oh, the one part is, and leftist folks are just as bad about that,
Yeah.
right? But, now I'm not going to grab a handful of Skittles and eat them because there might be a poisonous one, but I'm still going to understand the logical understanding that not every single...
And a good representation of that was when, they were talking about the immigrants. All immigrants are criminal. Immigrants are criminal. Immigrants are criminal. And then I think a few situations happened here in New York City.
Yeah.
It was posted all over social media. And now all immigrants are all criminals. It painted like that. But then
Classic part of a whole fallacy.
Yeah, a whole
right?
fallacy because the crime rate actually went down when we had an influx of
exactly. And so learning things like that. And so I remember the moment this actually happened. I'll tell you the moment I became a Democrat, or actually the moment I became not a Republican. I'll use that. I didn't become a Democrat right away because I was still skeptical, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about the Democrats because I was taught they were so bad for so long. It was Fukushima Daiichi. You were still at sea when this happened. I was in college. And Fukushima Daiichi was the nuclear plant that was hit by a tsunami and an earthquake in Japan. And the assignment was to follow the news that you don't normally follow, and then watch the news that you do follow and do the comparison. So Fukushima Daiichi happened. And I was like, you know what? I used to be a reactor operator. I used to do nuclear engineering for the Navy. So I can read the engineer reports. So I didn't even watch the news. I just read engineer reports. I was reading like the pressures, what the containment situations were, learning all the nerdy nuclear engineering type of stuff you can imagine. I was just reading those reports.
She was a nuke on the USS Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, I did that. That was me. And so after I read it, I was like, okay, I got a pretty good grasp of the situation. So then I turned on the news, right? And I wanted to see what all of the so-called like left outlets, like, MSNBC or the moderate ones like CNN. And I started watching it, and there was just a picture of the smoke coming out, and they were like, there's really no news. We really don't know what's going on. We don't know the extreme, how extreme of the calamity this is yet. And then I went to the website for Fox News. Now, I still remember this headline. Didn't exist now. It doesn't exist now, but it was the core had melted to the bottom of the secondary shielding and it was going into the earth. Like it was like Chernobyl level disaster.
No way.
Yeah. And I was like, what? How would I not know this? Now, I was still very kind of conservative in my head. I was like, why is Fox News telling me what's actually happening and everybody else
is not.
Right? So then I went to my professor that morning because I had class that morning. And I was like, look at this. Why is it so different? And I tried to pull up the link and it was a 404 error. They deleted it.
No way.
They did. It was pure sensationalism.
Wow.
And she was just like, where is it? And I was like, I don't know. It was here. I promise. I read this story. And then she told me, she was like, so how many people do you think read it this morning like you did?
And came back
to see it again. And I was like, probably just me. And she was like, yep, that's right. So that was the moment that I was
You started questioning everything after
did.
that.
I did.
Do you start questioning like Fox News?
Yeah, but I questioned all the news. I didn't know what to believe anymore. So that's when I actually walked to the counselor's office in college. And I was like, I don't want to be a business major anymore.
What?
Yeah, I was like, I want to be a political scientist. And she was like, why? That's a big change. And she goes, and then I go, well, I feel like I've been lied to my whole life. And I need to know what the truth is.
Wow.
So that's when I stepped into political science and government work because I wanted to know why the hell this is allowed to happen.
But how come the extreme though? Like you went, because you were extremely Republican, right? And then I think we lived together for a little bit. We moved in together, and then then were like a democratic socialist.
Yeah,
right.
Like Bernie Sanders.
And I remember I tried to debate you, and it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
The dumbest thing I ever tried to do is try to debate Josie, where all she did was debate.
That's right. I was in debate school. Yeah, I did debate in college. Yeah.
I'm like, Obama is giving everybody free phones. And then you were like, yeah, so like that Jobs could call them. I'm like, yeah, You remember that shit?
Exactly. I was like, oh, heaven forbid somebody has a phone for a job callback.
You used every argument that I had against me.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the story, it seems like it was a radical shift. But actually, there was a moment there where I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, let's move the microphone closer to you.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm talking when you go over, like...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Is that better? Boop.
Okay,
perfect.
Yeah.
There we go. So I'll just lean in. So essentially, it wasn't fast, right? There was a moment where I was like, I don't know anything. I didn't know nothing. Mm-hmm. I was a clean slate.
Yeah.
I was blank. I was like, you know what? Tabula rasa, which means is a Latin phrase of clean slate, right?
Yeah.
And I was just a student.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just learned, what is a government shutdown? Why is there a government shutdown? That happened when I was in college as well, back when Ted Cruz shut down the government reading Green Eggs and Ham. So once I was able to take the smoke out of my eyes about all the propaganda that I was fed when I was young, I actually looked at things factually. I was like, okay, what is a bill? What is a law? What is a representative? What is their rules? What is the presidency? Mm-hmm. What is the Constitution? And I read everything as a student. And then what I realized was I have internal values in my heart. People shouldn't be sick. Kids should be able to eat. Education is a great equalizer because I believe it. Education is what gave me the ability to stand where I am now. And all of those things were my values. And even though I was a conservative back then, I really did believe that I was helping somebody by taking away their food or taking away their access to things because I thought it would make them work harder. So therefore they would get something back.
Why do you think that's that ideology and a lot of us believe that that's the way to do it?
It's because it's based in folks who have generational wealth. I will not. When I say I read the Founding Fathers, I also read how rich they were, how wealthy landowners they were. When they wrote, all men were created equal, That wasn't black people. That wasn't people of color. That wasn't women.
That wasn't women.
That was people who owned land. It wasn't even poor whites, right? It was just people who owned land had the right. So for me, the laws were written for people who already have and not the have-not. They were in mind in the background. Now, I will say the founding fathers were smart enough to know that the country was going to change. That's why the Constitution can be amended by the people. So I do believe in the Constitution. And a lot of people get on me on that. Like, what, you're a constitutionalist? I'm like, yeah. It's a beautiful document. It can be changed. That's why. It's not like a Bible, right? It can be changed. And so for me, all the tools are there.
I feel like, do you feel like the have-nots are brainwashed in the way that you're like, one day you're gonna be the one to be part of the ones that have? But if you look at numbers and you think about it, like in order for that type of mentality to work, people need to be poor.
And this is the reality. Like I'm sure you've heard this before, but you can compare a white person in during slavery to a person that's part of a slave family, right? And you can go through history. The poor person that was white in America during slavery had the opportunity to buy land. Even if they worked their butts off for it, they had a little piece of property. When slavery ended, slaves did not. The people who were slaves did not get their acres in a mule.
They
didn't get that.
That's
right. True. So now you have a disparity there. Now the next generation happens. So now the grandchild or the son of the person who worked hard to get that piece of land now has a little bit of money in their pocket to be able to actually do more, right? With what they have. They may be able to go to school, right? They may have that opportunity. While the person over on the black person doesn't have that opportunity because they never had land. They're maybe going into the workforce. Their ancestors.
Redlining.
They're redlining. They don't get to buy a home. Right now, grandkid over here gets to buy that home. Right now, they've worked, they've had the opportunity, they've been able to buy a home in a nice area. They're able to get an education and create a little bit of that wealth. While the black person is barely trying to make it because the system is against them. So next generation happens. Now the kid that had the house, now they can have generational wealth. Now they can go straight into college without having any student debt. While the next person has student debt, and it just goes on and on. And now we have
to this day, it still happened because I think Freddie Mac put out a report that's saying that even when it came to when they for the housing, right, when it comes to appraisals, there's a 25% difference. So your black folks usually like they undervalue when it comes to appraising the homes. The 25% is a big chunk.
It's a huge.
So if they think that you're a white family, they're appraised at 25% higher. So, but if you're a black family that's gonna sell their home, they're appraised at 25% lower.
Absolutely.
So then you're taking it out.
They are, and so when we look at the way the world is designed, the world is designed for the people who have. So that's why we have to even the playing field. How do we do that? We do that with democratic socialism, but the American version, right? And because I don't look at other nations when I look at socialism. That's not my jam.
No, because usually people look at Denmark, Sweden, and stuff like that.
Sure. But I want to do things that are uniquely American. Because before, America used to do things right. We got out of the Great Depression. We did that. We didn't look at other nations on how to do that. We just did it. We did what needed to be done. And some of the things that we need to do, which are a little unpopular, such as public housing, right? We're in a housing crisis. Why are we letting private equity choose what we can build? That's not the right way to do it. We shouldn't let wealthy billionaires and millionaires tell us what units affordable housing we should be able to build. It's a crisis.
Is that what's happening right now?
Yeah.
So what is it? What's going on with this housing crisis? Like, what do you think is the cause of it?
Sure. It's private equity.
So they're like coming, like BlackRock coming in, buying.
Well,
Is it?
it's the fact that housing is seen as an investment.
Mm.
When our grandparents were buying their homes,
They were buying their homes.
they were buying homes. It was like buying a car. It
Yeah.
was like, okay, I'm going to buy this property. It's going to be mine. I'm going to be able to build a family and build, legacy with
Yeah.
that and generational wealth to help the future generations be able to live better lives. But now housing is an investment. It's the biggest investment that people can buy into. Real estate developers are able to make hand over fist on money, but now they have so much power that they get to call the shots on what the government of local economies get to actually do. So, for example, in Montgomery County, there is a big zombie lie, which is that rent control stops development. And my simple question is, why do they say that? Well, they say that because investors that want to build developments can't raise the rent at an unreasonable rate to make more money.
Yeah.
So my question then is, why should private investment get to dictate that renters have to suffer in order for them to make a profit? And if they don't want to build it, then we will. That's our duty as citizens to our country, to our land, to the people that we represent, is to give people a home.
Yes.
And not a billionaire's pocketbook. Everything is tilted toward private equity and investment. If it doesn't make you money, it's not
worth it. So these private equities basically sipping into like governmental regulations that are there to benefit the people, but in reality is benefiting them in their pockets.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I was looking at it and I was like, okay, there's new developments happening in New York, and they were like, oh, low income, right? We're creating low income housing, but when the prices that they're offering these low income housing is like $2,000.
Yeah, it's
and they're
unaffordable.
like, how is that? How's that low income?
Yeah, it's not. And it's not low income, and they try to build luxury developments.
Yeah.
And I say the L in luxury stands for loser.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. It's a losing thing because they think that, we're going to make things so expensive to create scarcity. So therefore we can make the market more expensive. The investment agencies want there to be a housing crisis.
Yeah.
They don't want to end the housing crisis because if they did,
they'll lose money.
They lose money.
Yeah.
Right? So they create these unaffordable marketplaces so that way only the wealthy can purchase them, and the people who are unable to do it, they move out.
That's one thing I don't understand is like I saw the debate that happened in between JD Vance and Tim Walz, and JD Vance went on stage and he said, "Oh, once we get the immigrants, we have a housing crisis because of the immigrants." And I was like, "Oh my God." I saw that. I was like, that makes no sense.
It makes no sense because who's going to build them?
Not only that, is that so there's a housing crisis. Houses are unaffordable. How these immigrants are not even, so you mean to tell me these immigrants are buying homes over the American people? So it's it doesn't make any sense. For me, I saw that, I was like, when he said that, like, oh, that's what we gotta get the illegal immigrants out of here. So like that, we could fix the housing crisis. I was like, bruh.
Yeah.
So what immigrant, undocumented or illegal immigrant that's how they call it. What illegal immigrant is buying all these homes?
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't make sense. It's let me blame this guy that's poor, that has no money,
right?
That has no say and no power. Because I know a lot of undocumented that I talk to, and they're afraid.
They are afraid,
and they can't say nothing.
Yeah,
they're
the least power.
The least power because they can't advocate for themselves.
Right. Exactly. It's so frustrating, and like people okay, so I'm a huge nerd about systems because I operated a nuclear reactor. You can't just flip one switch over here and not see something happen on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Everything is connected.
Yeah.
So and I'm gonna go after Democrats here, because I believe that good ideas are good ideas regardless of what the parties say they are. So right now there's they call it the abundance Democrats, right? The people who want to just build, 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 cut all the red tape, build, 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 give money to private equities so they can build more. They just say, we're just going to build our way out of the housing crisis. And it's like, that is only one piece of the housing crisis. The housing crisis has multiple pieces to it.
Yeah.
So for example, a condo, right?
Yeah.
It should be a good starter home for a lot of people.
Yes.
But people don't realize that when you buy into a condo, it's like buying into a lease.
Yeah.
You're now hit with condominium fees. There's overhead, HOAs, and then
they dictate a lot of
exactly. And it's very cruel in how they do it, because these developers may want to build a nice fountain in the front and a pool on the roof, and they want to make it really attractive for people to move in on day one. But they don't tell you how much that fountain's going to cost to repair when it breaks.
No.
They're not going to tell you how much a month that pool on the roof is going to cost.
Okay.
So then all the people are stuck in a money pit that costs way more to do maintenance than your standard typical just building with 4 walls and a roof.
That makes sense. Yeah, because like you own a house, I don't have to worry about no HOA and paying none of that.
Right, exactly.
Right. And they could raise once they raise the HOA fees,
it never goes down.
It never goes down.
It never goes down. So you have to pay the maintenance.
You have
this,
to
on this, because it's important.
And if you think about it, how much maintenance does
a giant building have?
Yeah.
And it could have a lot.
It could,
right?
But not really.
But and this is the rub, right? So I have a friend who lives in a luxury condo.
Yeah.
They think it's so cheap. It's built flimsy. It's always breaking. Something's effed up every time.
Yeah.
Because when you let private equity build it without union labor, without getting it built right the first time,
you're going to have issues.
You're going to have issues because they're cutting corners. They're corporations.
Yeah.
They only care about profit.
Profit.
They don't care about if the wall's going to stand when they're 40 years later.
Yeah.
They just want the money now, quick and fast.
Mm.
And they get people into these buildings, and they're not required. And this is one of my policies that I want to push forward. It's called a reserve study.
Mm-hmm.
And what a reserve study is before you build a building, you got to tell us what the monthly cost is in maintenance. And then after you give me that cost in maintenance, you're going to give me a percentage for so much money to make sure that there's money in reserve to fix the problems that you're going to develop. So that way the residents aren't going to be stuck with a zero balance in their maintenance budget. We need to make sure developers, if you want to develop a shitty building, then you're going to have to pay the premium of building that building. So build it right the first time.
Build it right the first time like that. You don't have to,
And then the study is public for anybody who wants to buy it. So all of a sudden somebody is buying it, it's like, wait, what do you mean it's going to cost, $2,000 a month 10 years from now?
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, well, and it's like, no, I'm not moving in here.
Yeah, I like that. Like that, you're not stuck. You're not buying something that's going to be a lose-lose.
Exactly.
Especially, or it's going to bite you in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
In
it's
the
like,
long term.
Oh yeah, the glass pillars and everything. It's so nice. It's so beautiful.
I have a question for you. Like, now that you're running for office in Maryland, what is your position? What is it that you want to offer those people there that's going to be different from anyone else?
Yeah. So I'll start off with the fact that I am the only candidate out of the entire at-large race, 12 people. So it's 4 seats that are available. 3 of them are going to be open, meaning an incumbent's not running for re-election. I'm the only one that applied for the DSA endorsement, the Democratic Socialist of America endorsement.
Okay.
It's because I believe that should be the start of a conversation, not the end of one. I want to start talking about my policies boldly. So it comes down to 3 major policies that make me stand out. The first one is education.
Yeah.
Because I'm very big on education. Right now in Montgomery County, teachers have to fight for their budget every year. When it should be their basic needs, right? It's just like your salaries. Pay your teachers. Stop trying to negotiate every year on how much little money you can pay your teachers. So I want to lock it in at 52% of the entire operating budget goes to the schools.
Okay.
No matter what.
Okay.
So when the county does better, they do better.
Okay.
That gives us more time to build more for the schools. That's a big one. And I want to do it through county charter amendment. So I want to bring it to the vote for the people. 2, and this is the most controversial piece, actually. I want rent control locked in at 3% across the board, no loopholes. Right now,
isn't it like that over there right now?
no, we passed rent stabilization, which is a form of rent control, but it's locked in at 6%, so rents can still go up by 6% every year.
Yeah.
And there's an exemption that if your building is newer than 23 years old, you don't get it. You don't get that benefit.
Okay.
So so it goes up. Also, there's a loophole for rent banking. Rent banking is let's say you're capped out at 6%, but you only charge person 1% 1 year. That means you can charge them 9% next year. It's a displacement tool.
Oh,
right.
That's messed up.
It is messed up.
That's messed up.
Yeah, it is.
Like
or 11% the next year.
Yeah. That's messed up. I agree with that because I have tenants like even raising it 3% like bothers me.
Yeah, exactly. Because is it really what you need to do?
No.
Right. Exactly.
I try not to raise the rents. And if I raise it, probably be like. I don't do the whole percentage 3% because I would hate for especially when these rents are high. You're gonna put on another $100-something on top of whatever rent they're paying. Yeah. Come on,
exactly,
bro.
Exactly. It's not okay.
Like I rather just leave it like that or leave it like that. Or like if I raise it, I'll probably be like, $20.
Yeah. You had I had to fix the plumbing. All right, fine.
Or something.
And then I'm just gonna just a little bit and then bring it back down. That type of stuff, right? So there's another loophole that I want to close is for exactly people like yourself, which is you only own like a quadruplex or a duplex or a single unit, and you're renting it out to somebody as your first investment property.
Yeah.
They're exempt too with the program. I want to make that exemption go away because not everybody's kind like you are.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people who are in it for the money because they were told when they were young, buy an investment property and then rack up the rent and they have them pay your mortgage. And
Cash cow.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, who are you calling the cow here? It's the people who live there.
And we were talking about people that are poorer than you.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Taking advantage of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't have.
So I want to end that loophole as well. Now the third thing is we need to start arresting ICE for breaking the law. Period.
Yeah.
Like I don't care if you're a federal worker. If you're breaking the law, you go to jail. And I want to make sure that our police are enforcing the law. I don't care if you have a badge. If you're a criminal, you go to jail.
Good. I like that.
Yeah. So that's a big one.
Fuck ICE.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I don't give a damn. Like that's one thing I'm like, as a Latino, like I've done so much content for our people, and then to see our people hunted in the streets.
Oh yeah.
It messes me up.
ICE falling from the sky in Chicago, right? Like going in through Black Hawk helicopters, breaking top-story apartment buildings.
Is that what's going on?
Yeah, that happened. Didn't you know that happened?
I did not know that happened.
Yeah, the ICE literally rappelled into a window and took a family with kids naked on the street, zip-tied on the street.
No.
Yeah.
I did not see that.
Yeah. Freaking falling from the sky now, using military equipment to round up little kids topless on the freaking ground.
Oh, that's freaking sad.
It's disgusting.
It's disgusting. And these are people that are trying to make a living. They're working, but now they're painting it as all bad.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I feel like ICE is like the new SS.
It is. It is. Absolutely, it is. People say it's the Gestapo, the brown shirts. No, brown shirts only carried around sticks. These people carry around guns. They're the SS. They're the secret police. They are going around taking people that they don't like, listening to how they sound, and using the color of their skin to round them up and put them in concentration camps.
Concentration camps.
Like we have concentration camps in America that are privately funded.
Yes. And it's like, we went through this before.
Yeah,
we have it before. During the Japanese, when it happened in World War II.
Yeah, Native Americans. Like, also, like, the Aliens Enemies Act. I think people, like, even our people were, like, supportive, like to have our own people support, like, oh yeah, I support this Aliens Enemies Act, when 2/3 of Japanese American citizens were also sent to concentration camps. Yeah,
so much so that they had to pay after after the government paid what is it when you register what? Damn.
The government got paid for.
No, you know when you mess somebody up, like you damn, I can't even think about the word.
Like mobster stuff, like you like.
No, like you know how we want to recompensation.
Yes. Like you got to give them reparations.
So the
yes.
Japanese folks got
Yeah.
reparations because of
absolutely.
the mistreatment. But like, to have 2/3, especially, it happened during those times.
It
right?
did. Their property was taken from them. Those reparations didn't do much.
They didn't do much, but it's so much like. This happened before. I remember when Trump first said the Aliens Enemies Act, I was scared.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I heard about this before. This is what happened that we did to the Japanese
right.
folks in World War II.
Or taking birthright citizenship away to choose who gets to be an American.
Wow.
Like these are the things. Look, I'm a second generation, right?
Mhm.
But somebody like Trump who would want to take my citizenship away. They want to take Zoran's citizenship away. Like this is the reality of where we live in an authoritarian state, that they just can come in, take you without any due process, without any words. It's just like, boom, take you.
Do you think that we live in an authoritarian state already?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because the moment you take due process away, and due process just means you have a right to a trial.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're an immigrant or an American. You have to have due process, because there have been citizens that have been taken and they show their IDs and they throw them away.
Yeah.
They throw them away. And guess what? With no due process, you don't get to go to a court to prove that you're an American citizen. That's our basic fundamental human right.
That's true.
And when you take the ability for an American citizen to go in front of a court, we're no longer America in that point.
Which is part of the Constitution.
That's right. Due process. Regardless of if you are a citizen or not. Because how are you going to prove it?
Yeah. You have to go. Yeah.
You have to go. Even if you are somebody who is undocumented and committing crimes, they still have to go in front of a court. So we can say, this is the evidence, this is the rule. Okay, get the hell out.
Yep. I'm so happy that we finally got to do this.
Yeah.
Right? And I want you to continue doing this, keep doing the good fight, because from the very beginning, you have been the person. I think we've always been there for each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And every time there's something going on, I call you right away. You're the one that tells me, like, Gadiel, this is what's happening. I'm like, what? I didn't even know this.
Yeah.
Right? Or I didn't understand the policy. And when I call somebody to clarify it, you are that person. For me. And I hope, and I know that you could do so much good, and I know you have a good heart, and I'm so glad that you're running for office, because we need people like you.
Oh, thank you.
Right? Yeah. I do feel like I am optimistic. I know there's a lot of pessimism happening in America, but I'm very optimistic, because we've been in this position before when we had the oligarchs running the country, and we see massive changes with the Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt afterwards was a reaction. And I think there's going to be a reaction in the United States, and I'm hopeful, and I think things are going to change here for the better and for the people. And sometimes we need to go through these hard things in order for things to change, but we can only do it with people like you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And America can do great things.
Oh, yeah.
I still love America.
Oh, yeah.
We served under the American flag, but we know what that meant. It means that people have freedom. They have opportunity. They get to be who they want to be and get to do what they get to do and build and be great and do amazing stuff. But to me, there's a line. As soon as your greed overtakes your empathy over the person standing next to you, that's not American. And right now we are run by a bunch of people who are not really American. They don't live the dream the way it's supposed to be.
They even attack empathy.
That's right. They do attack empathy. And
intellectualism.
Yeah, that's right. And so I really appreciate being here. It's been long overdue. I can't wait to do this again. I will say this: if anybody out there watching liked what you saw, please go to josieformaryland.com and make a donation. We right now our average donation is $50. We've gotten donations from 39 different states.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for a local race.
Wow.
1.1 million people is how many people we would represent. And look, wouldn't it be nice to say a trans Latina veteran got elected right next door to Trump?
If you want to piss him off,
Yeah.
donate to Josie Caballero.
Yeah.
Josie, thank you for coming
Yeah.
today. You leave it right in the comments what you think, what you believe in, and join in the conversation whether you agree or disagree. I want to
Please.
hear both sides, and I love you guys. Thank you for supporting. Y que la pase bien.